Brought to you by Lister Pros TV, streaming from Tempe, Arizona. And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey guys, Jordan here with Lister Pros TV, and today we're on Real Estate Pros, and we have a very special guest, Chad Arend of Realty Executives. Welcome to the show, Chad.
Thanks for having me.
And today specifically we're going to be talking about mastering lead generation, since Chad is a master at lead generation, right? So we'll give you a few minutes to introduce yourself. How long you been in real estate,
all the details.
Yeah, there we go.
Again, I'm Chad Arend, Realty Executives. I've been in real estate since 2005. I got in. I think there was a guy on the show before that got in 2005 when it was good. Everybody did well. Everybody made a lot of money, and then the market just tanked off, right? So that's when it made us get lean, made us get productive and actually professional about it. But I've been in since 2005. I've done well, and now I'm continuing to build on the team that we have and really trying to get that footprint as large as we can. So, and that what kind of ties into lead generation. We need to support these leads into new agents and be as productive as we can with those leads as we get them. So
sure. So a little off topic, just a little bit about how you got in 2005. So you obviously made it through the distressed era of short sales and bank-owned properties.
Yep.
How did you get by during that time? Did you stick with the traditional model, or were you an REO agent?
No, we got into REOs.
Yeah.
So in 2008, end of 2008, I joined up with a couple guys that had an REO listing contract with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, a lot of those other banks, and that's what we did for almost 5-7 years actually. So I just gave that up full time as of last year to really focus on the new traditional side of real estate. So, but yeah, between 2008 to 2016 was almost 100% REOs.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
From the assignment to the eviction to the repairs.
I mean, they're still out there. It's just very
the percentage is really low. So,
but even through 2016, that's a long step. Most people kind of got out. I don't know, 2013, 14. It started to slow down a bit, but
the assignment, the listing that we had was very strong. We always did really well with it. We kept it where it was supposed to be. We saw a lot of those agents doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing on the REO side, and that was kind of the underworld of that business. And we were able to stay on the up and up, do our tasks, do our assignments as needed, and the REO managers appreciated that. So
they kept giving you business. We were really big,
yeah. So I mean, at my peak, I think I had about 120 active listings on the REO side. So we were closing 20 to 30 plus a month.
Jeez,
and that was just. But that fit well for what I like doing, and that was the systematic approach to real estate.
Sure, yeah. So that comes into that ties into mastering lead generation. Mm-hmm. So talk to us a little bit about real estate agents. They get into the business and then they hear lead gen, but where does somebody get started?
So what they do a lot of times is they'll reach out to the Zillow, to the Realtor.com, to whatever they're going to do, and they basically just say, "Here's a bunch of money, and give me leads." And that's usually the end of the story. Nobody focuses on what it's going to take to actually take those leads, nurture them, cultivate them, convert them, and close them. So again, it's easy to just write a check, right? You just write a check to Zillow, pay a couple grand a month, and you can have as many leads as you want. So you may or may not have the talent of actually getting them to
actually
commission check, right? So what we do is we've got a bunch of different buckets that we spread that out, whether or not it's like Google pay-per-click kind of mentality, to Facebook sponsored posts, and then on the flip side to our sphere, to our farm areas. So we're looking to generate leads out of all of these different buckets to make sure that if Facebook starts to slip, or if Google pay-per-click gets too expensive, a lot of times you'll see people jump into that, and that search becomes very expensive. So now we can pull that back, and then we can focus on some of those other buckets, whether or not it's our sphere or our farm.
So you have so what are the main buckets that you talked about that you had?
We do a lot of Google pay-per-click.
PPC?
PPC.
Right.
We do Facebook, Instagram. We do our sphere base. We always want to maintain our sphere. We do similar to a light take on a Buffini approach. And then we farm a couple different zip codes, whether or not it's, that kind of ties in a little bit to the Facebook side as well, but it also pulls into direct mailers, newsletters, and a lot of that side.
So out of these 4 buckets, so you have pay-per-click, Facebook, Instagram ads, Sphere, farming, and all those activities that you mentioned. Which one generates the most amount of business for you?
Sphere.
Yeah. By
60% maybe.
60%.
50 to 60%.
50 to 60% on Sphere.
And it's it's the cheapest by far. So the return on that one is, and that's what when we talk about lead generation, we bring up those new agents that they start throwing money at Zillow. So many people lack that bucket. It's amazing that I'll bring in new agents and they're unwilling to basically go tell everybody they're a new agent. That's the most profitable bucket by far.
60%. That doesn't surprise me, but that's interesting knowing the different buckets that you're managing. So what about these other PPC, Facebook farming? How would you segment the other 50%?
We, as far as on reporting, we kind of look at PPC and Facebook, Instagram as kind of the same bucket in a way. It's because it's just an online generation. So then on the farming, that's kind of low, especially on the percentages there. But the remainder of those 3, we don't do as much on the farming side. That's probably 10 to 15%, and the rest would go out of the PPC to, you get a couple other maybe 10% auxiliary kind of stuff, whether or not it's open houses to networking groups, things like that.
Is it hard to convert the PPCs and Facebook leads that you get? Are they usually mostly cold? See, there's a lot of approaches to do it on Facebook, like find out what your house is worth, click this button, where it's kind of like clickbait, and then they're in your funnel, and then you follow up with them. So there's that approach, and then there's probably more like, I'm your
5% our average.
Guy.
Yeah, 5% our average. 8% we're usually doing really, really well. We've had months that were 2 to 3% basically, if you look over like an 18-month period.
2% that make it to commission
2%,
check?
correct. So we're closing about 5% on average online lead generation.
So you get 20 leads, one's making it to the end.
Yeah.
Man,
you got to take no a bunch of times. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And it's harder to say though, because a lot of times, especially like the Facebook, for example, PPC, we've actually seen the turnaround time is a lot quicker. Whereas on Facebook, it really kind of takes that nurture a long time, because when you're on Facebook, you yourself, when you're on Facebook, you're not necessarily looking to buy. But if I can get your contact information, I can capture you as a lead, then I might nurture you. And on average, you're about 12 to 18 months.
So what does that post lead capture nurture look like on PPC and Facebook? What system do you use? Because we're talking about technology and different things.
Yeah, so we use, on the PPC side, it's all managed by a company that does that, because I'm not going to go in there and spend the time to adapt to my campaigns on Google. That's totally outside of my scope. I don't even want to be knowledgeable about how that's running. So I can look at the percentages, but for the most part, we try and be as specific as we possibly can on all of our ads. So if it is PPC, I'm not going to do very well with homes for sale in Phoenix, right?
Right.
So I can do zip codes, I can do subdivisions, I can do type of unit, townhome, single family, things like that. And my cost is a lot lower that way. So, and the same is true for Facebook. With Facebook, as we all know, the demographics can be so dialed down, which is creepy, but it makes for good ads for good click rates. Mm-hmm. So we'll do a specific subdivision ad that's only being delivered to that 1 mile radius. And I only want 25 to 45 to 50-year-olds. I only want people that earn $100K. I want people that have...
Is it only females or the males too?
Come on. More times than not, females click than males do. But there's more females on Facebook than there are males. So it actually is probably the percentage on how many users.
Yeah.
We don't send any ads to one or the other. But you easily could, if you had something that was very like male dominated and that was an ad, you could advertise just to males.
So do you make your ads very specific to that demo that you're targeting?
100%.
So if you're in that neighborhood, hey, this is.
Yep. And we've done A and B sets. So we've seen those ads on what percentages versus a general ad versus something specific is hugely more profitable on the specific ads. It's like night and day.
I'm sure you've you've messed around with a few different kinds of ads as well. What type of ad are you finding that you're having the most success with?
Sometimes it depends on what my purpose is, on what I want to do, because I might have a listing I want to promote more so, and that might not be successful, but in the long run, it might end up being that. Say, for example, if I got a listing, I'm going to advertise it out to buyers because I want to try and get that sold. But then at the same time, I'm going to hit those same buyers when we put it under contract. And then when we sell it, they get the same ad. So now these same campaign, this audience has received 3 to 4 different ads from me as it progresses through. Those end up being very profitable, but I can't necessarily attribute that to one of those ads, if that makes sense.
Right.
So I've got to take the entire campaign.
So are you utilizing like people that eventually like your page, or is it like a retargeting pixel that you're
We do the retargeting side of it, but actually we'll take a system that we use. We'll pull all the addresses, phone numbers, so then we'll plug that in as custom audiences. So that way I've got a very specific demographic on that location.
So when you get a lead, you have a back-end system that can pull specific information for...
I'll verify some information.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha.
So different sites will...
Makes it better.
Yeah, pull me addresses to phone numbers. So if I get a listing in a specific area that I'm working, I'll pull 200 to 500 surrounding homes.
And will you always kind of retarget them where you found them, like on Facebook specifically, or if you pull their phone number or whatever, you ever reach out, give them a call, or is it kind of seem kind of weird? Is it like where it's like, hey, you clicked on my ad on Facebook?
Yeah, it's cold calling. It might be that. It might be if they went through the ad and that was our first sign up, then it might be a call. It might be a text message, something like that. To if we just got their address and phone number, then they'll get a Facebook ad from us. And then they'll continue to get maybe a postcard from there. Then they'll get a voicemail. And so there's all these different formulas that we'll put in, and they're getting hit with... What
system are you using for this back-end management? Are you using a system, or is it like something that you do but yourself?
No, it's a lead generation site. We use we use RedX or Vortex that actually produces a lot of our information. And then we pump it into our Infusionsoft CRM.
So Infusionsoft is what you use, and that will do the postcards and different things like that. Because I was like, RedX, I'm familiar with that. I'm like,
but they've got a back-end site that is actually similar to like, have you heard of Cole?
I haven't heard of Cole, no.
So I'll put in an address, and I'll draw a radius, and Vortex will pull me those 500 contact information in that radius. So then I'll pump that into Infusionsoft.
Is Vortex kind of like Tellius, or
sort of, but I can't do individual searches on that. So I can't type in one address
on Vortex.
Yes, I can't pull one contact
information. Have you used
information
LexisNexis as well? It's expensive, but
we use.
You're not supposed to use it for marketing, apparently.
We use it in Inquizzo. Inquizzo is our one-off.
Inquizzo's pretty good.
Yeah. So another example.
Like a one-off person you're trying to find out.
So if we'll run a Facebook ad, and it'll be like myphoenixvalue.com. That's where is our seller generation site. So they'll go in, they'll type in their address. In order to see the value, they have to sign up. Name, phone number, and email. Everybody clicks off of that.
What's your back end? Do you use like the top producer?
Real Geeks.
Oh, Real Geeks, gotcha.
So they'll type in that information, then they'll usually bail off because they don't want to sign up. But now I've already captured the address. So then I can pump through Inquizzo, capture the phone number, and now they got a call saying, hey, I saw you were trying to get your value. Did you have a problem with the system? Did you have any questions? And now they're kind of in panic mode a little bit, and this is where it can be awkward.
Yeah.
That they clicked out of the site, and now all of a sudden their phone rings, and that's. But we've closed a number of that this year.
So on that specific, is that would you say that's 5% as well? Getting those type of people through it, or are there certain leads that get more, or more cold leads that end up closing a deal with you?
Definitely when they go through, they end up on that value site and they complete the sign up, we're hitting those very, very quickly, and that's going to be a strong lead because they've expressed their contact info. So I expect my percentage to be higher in those. If they click out, there could be a dozen reasons. I see all the time that people go and they find out what their value was because they just closed a month ago. They just bought the house 2 months ago, and they just want to see now what it's telling them it's worth because they want to see their equity after 2 months. Well, I'm not going to be able to convert that lead. They have no interest in selling.
Does Real Geeks give the like a instant valuation pump out?
It's the same thing.
Where are they feeding their valuations
Well,
from?
that is at least
I'm just
poured
trying to
through
say,
MLS.
is it better than Zillow or is it a Zillow feed? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah. So it actually has MLS feed because I give my IDX ability to
gotcha.
Real Geek. So
Yeah.
I expect our estimate to be a lot better than the Zillow side of it.
Yeah.
But anything instant, I mean, it's got to be taken with a grain of salt. But at the same time, that's an opportunity. If somebody has a Zillow estimate, that's always opportunity for conversation. So, and that's a good portion of the reason why we call to follow up on those, because if they're pissed at the value, I view that as a good thing, because now they're interested in their value, they care about the value. It's an opportunity for me to come out.
Right.
So
Come out.
you want a hands-on value, I can do that. So
right.
I'll take those.
But that's good. At
complaints
least
all day. Yeah.
At least it doesn't always match
Yeah.
up to the Zestimate. Hey, wait
No,
a minute.
yeah, it's not pulling directly.
What's
off
going on
Fiverr.
here,
Yeah.
Chad?
Yeah. So, and that's actually to kind of move that into another campaign that we run, is we compare our sales prices versus Zillow. So we'll send out mailers saying, here's average Zestimate and here's our average sales price. So if you just want to rely on Zillow, by all means, but you left
Are you
X dollars on the
Are you
table.
trying to show that there's a big difference between what's actually selling and is it like Zillow's not reliable basically, or is it that you're selling for higher than Zestimate, or is it just not?
Both.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think does Zestimate kind of lowball a little bit on their Zestimate? Do you think?
No,
Or
'cause I've seen it abnormally high and I've seen it low. I don't think that they have any correlation if they're trying to be high or low.
See, Zillow's kind of getting smart though, because well, they're getting smarter over time. Because now I recently saw on their site that, where you see a Zestimate, but they use it as a lead gen for realtors.
Of course.
So they got the valuation or whatever, their Zestimate, and then underneath it says, I disagree.
You disagree with it.
You
Yeah, I've seen
disagree.
that.
Now
Yeah,
you can click on it and it goes to...
Here's an agent. They can
Exactly.
do it. Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow. That's fairly new. Because I don't know. I'm not on there all the time, but I recently saw that not too long ago.
Well, before you could dispute or whatever they called it, your Zestimate, and that would actually put in parameters into their system to adjust your value. So as a homeowner, you could put in a reason why it should adjust your Zestimate. But it didn't go anywhere. It just changed it on Zillow.
Yeah.
So, which would be good if you're potentially going to sell your property. Obviously, you want Zillow to be as high as you can, because we know buyers are going to check it, right?
Yeah.
So you definitely want to get that up. But I haven't seen it actually go to agents. But I no longer subscribe to Zillow. So
Yeah.
I do enough that it's a necessary evil. We're going to advertise as strong as we can, make sure we're promoted, make sure we're as high up on that list. But I'm not taking any of their leads.
So were you, obviously a lot of agents use Zillow for lead gen. Were you seeing it as like a really expensive? You weren't getting quite the ROI that you're getting by doing your own activities here?
I'll give you numbers.
What was it?
So we did, in a North Phoenix zip code, I basically tried out to buy out all the impressions on Zillow. So I had 96% of all impressions on Zillow in that zip code, at a low price of $3,600 a month.
A low price.
Yeah.
Dang.
So I own the zip code,
You just
and I was
think,
getting
like, what can you do with $3,600 and try to
a lot more than pay Zillow. I'll tell you that.
Right.
So at the end of the day,
It's an easy solution. Like, oh yeah, just cut a check, But hey, if you put some work into it, obviously, what you're doing, it's not like.
Well, I can go back and say I was profitable on that.
Yeah.
At least I was in the black. So after a year worth of doing it, what frustrated me the most is that every time I'd see my leads kind of taper off, I'd call, all of a sudden they'd pop back up and they'd reduce my price. And then I'd call, leads would kind of taper off, and I'd call, they'd reduce my price. And so on. So it's basically just telling me that you guys were so inflated on your costs, you had so much cost kind of built in that you could still be charging me now I think I finally quit, it was $750 for the same impressions.
Really?
So $3,600 to $750.
Dang.
And that was over a year of just reducing. So that's how much I was getting hosed in the first month, because I could still get that impression for $750.
So what do they charge you per impression
At that time, yeah.
on Zillow?
Yeah. This may have changed. That was a little over 2 years ago. So it may change now, but yeah, that was just purely impressions. And keep in mind, you're also fighting with agents on that, because they're showing 3 other agents as your impression is one. So on every impression that was when somebody would type up a property address, I'd be one of those 3, but I'd only be one of those 3. So now, am I on the top? Am I in the middle? Am I on the bottom? People are more likely to call the top, right? So if I'm showing up impression on the bottom every single time, so
Yeah,
they can
yeah.
they can kind of manipulate it a little bit. I don't know. I'm not going to go all conspiracy theory on that, but they can change.
Were you
on
a
what they wanna
Premier
do.
agent?
Yeah, we still do that because that keeps our listings high.
Yeah,
we don't use any of the web hosting or anything like that, but.
Supposedly, does it give your listings more reach than
Correct.
regular agents? What do they charge for Premier?
It's only like $10 a month.
Oh, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, and so we still add a video onto every listing because that also increases their visibility.
It's like double.
I saw that.
2x.
So we throw that on there. The Premier side, it gets us. We put everything as coming soon for a couple weeks. We do some pretty good leads on that. So we'll get a new listing. We'll throw on Zillow's coming soon. We've sold maybe half a dozen properties on Zillow before they even go on MLS.
So is that your go-to? So before you actually list it, you just put coming soon on Zillow, and that gets a lot of interest. Huh? So you've sold a half a dozen?
Yeah, we've probably done 6 this year.
Wow.
That have never even either hit MLS or we put it on MLS after it's basically just about to close.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's interesting.
We've got one closed on Friday.
I think that's probably that's the first time I've heard of that strategy with the results that you're getting. So I'm sure.
It works out fantastic because like I said on Friday, we've got a closing on that's never been on MLS, and I've got both sides, so it's a full commission on that one. So we'll take that all day.
So was it from Zillow putting it on a coming soon on Zillow?
Yeah.
Are there any other coming soon sites that are effective? Or Zillow's probably the main.
Yeah, we'll do it on Craigslist. I've had.
Do they
some
charge
success.
for it? Is it free?
That's part of the Premier agent.
Yeah,
So
if you're a regular agent, you can't do coming soon listings.
I don't think so. That's why we really
for
hit
$10 a month. Check it out, man.
Oh yeah,
you're getting
do the percentage on the return on investment.
You're getting a huge ROI on that.
So, that's one that we didn't even market the property as much because we had a buyer. I met the buyer out there, got contract by the end of the day, and we're done. So. Yeah, it's easy.
Dude, that's a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I like the man. That's a good idea, actually.
So,
really good. Several good ideas in this interview. Just like picking your brain, Chad. So what do we got? I guess we're out of time, but we'll have to have you back in here and talk about your video marketing strategy.
Yeah, we can do that anytime.
And this interview has been very insightful. Lots of great information about mastering lead generation and kind of. Thanks. We appreciate you sharing the results because some people are very guarded about, obviously sphere of influence is very important for your business. The coming soon Zillow is something that people can look at that if they're not doing right now. Farming, Facebook, Instagram, PPC. There's a lot of ways to generate leads out there, but I think you hit it right in the beginning where you have to put them in a system to foster the leads to be able to take them to a closing, which expect about 5% to end up from the cold ones. As a closing, you're going to have to put them in a system.
And the next show, and this is probably not the glamour that a lot of agents actually want to see, but I think you need to be trained and versed in, again, the conversion side of it. Because what will tend to happen is even that Zillow analogy, you can spend so much money there. But again, if you can't close those leads, if you can't be on top of those leads, I mean, we talked about nurture for 12 to 18 months. We've got all the campaigns that actively nurture them. It's a heat check on all of them. So I know when they're active. I know when they're on my website. I know when they're clicking email. That's all part of that conversion process. If you can't close that side of the deal, you're just writing checks. I mean, it really, your ROI is going to be zero because you can spend as much money as you want, right? They're not going to come to you and say, here's a contract.
And if you're a Zillow subscriber, you may want to reach out and try to renegotiate a contract. Dude,
I would,
$36
sure.
to $700?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
That was brutal.
Same. You're like, bro, can I have my $2,900 back for April?
So I think in that year, I was doing 1 to 2 closings a month off of it. So, but again, I
mean, that pays for itself, but still, if you can get the same thing for
yeah. Well,
but maybe they were putting you at the bottom.
So this was
Chad.
2-3 years ago when
You're like,
the market was
Chad.
still a little soft. So, and I had REO, profit to be able to funnel into this marketing. So that's when at least the funds were there. Now with traditional doing so well, it's so much more competitive. So I'm sure in order to get that kind of percentage of impressions, it would be an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah, I bet. So you have a team. Are you looking to grow? So you're at Realty Executives. Obviously, you You bring a wealth of knowledge in the business, since you've been in the business for 12 years now.
Yeah, we opened up a new office actually in Central Phoenix. We're off 7th Street in Missouri. It's a contemporary office. We really like it, and I'm always looking to expand our team. So as these leads come in, we're always looking for bodies to take them. So I need a couple more buyer's agents. I'm also looking for getting close to a listing specialist, somebody just to handle the listing side. So that's still a growth for me. That's been for 2 years now that I can do this stuff all day, but now it's actually the education side, and that's something where I'm getting a lot better on. Yeah, too, and that's a good reason why I went back to Realty Executives International to have all the training that we're surrounded by. So not just for myself to actually grow team, like you see some huge agents within Realty Executives, but also when new agents come onto my team, I've got a plethora of training available through the Realty Executives platform.
If somebody's interested in maybe filling one of those roles or just picking your brain about the Arend team, how do they get a hold of you?
Anybody can reach out to me directly. The cell phone's always the easiest, whether or not it's text or a phone call. And that number is 602-740-2074. You can pop onto my website at thearendteam.com, shoot me an email there. Actually, we've got a join the team link directly on there. You can actually go fill out a little application that'll just come to me, and then I'll give you a call with a quick buzz and see if it's the right fit.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely going to have you in here for a round two, all around video marketing. But thanks for being so open today and coming on to Real Estate Pros.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it, Chad, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Thanks.